Welcome back to the cabin. It's 5 o'clock. It's pitch black out at night. It's Tuesday, the 14th of November, I think. And I came up for a few days to basically get the cabin ready for winter. Got to drain the pipes and drain the rest of the water in the water tanks in the cellar. All right, let's go inside and see how cold it is inside. Some lights on here. There we go. It's warmer in here than outside, which is good. Let's see. Don't know if that's going to come out on the camera, but it's actually 34 degrees in here. So the first thing we got to do is get a fire going. Let's see. No ice in the water there. That's a good sign. All right. So, get a fire going, and we'll be back to take some more video. Well, we got a fire started. Get the place warmed up a bit. Little fans running on top, so we're putting out some heat. I think I'm going to do a test here and see how much time it takes to heat this place up from 34 degrees, how many hours, to a somewhat comfortable temperature. And I got my stuff moved in from the car. Got my clothing here and a bag of odds and ends. The computer set up. So now we'll think about having some dinner. I think tonight we're going to have some Campbell's soup, some crackers with that, and maybe some peanut butter too. I'm hungry now. It's 6:30. These butane stoves are great. Joe Waller over at St. Bernard Acres turned me on to them, and this thing heats stuff right up, and inexpensive. The cartridges fit in the side, a single burner, but it's all I need for now until I get my oven hooked up here. Sounds like the soup's almost ready. Well, I got the temperature inside up to 60 degrees last night with the wood stove. When I got up this morning, it was 48 inside. So I broke out the Mr. Buddy heater, take the chill off, and the Mr. Buddy warms the place up right away. We actually got a little bit of snow, probably last weekend when it rained down south, but only a couple patches left. I have a couple of gullies here that are forming when the water runs down the hillside. And there's another one over here. I don't know if it's going to come out in the video, but I want to fill these in with wood chips to control the erosion. So I think we'll do that now. This morning we cleaned up this area over the septic tank. Used the weed whacker, string trimmer, cut all the weeds down. If I have time, I'll rake these leaves off and over to the side. almost too late to do this because it's slightly frozen. If it was frozen, I'd be up the creek. I put the wood chips down in the gullies and tamped them down, so hopefully that'll slow down the erosion next spring when the snow melts and starts running off the hillside. My next task is, I've got a little ditch here that I dug at the bottom of the hill, and the reason I dug it was to divert the water off to the side into the woods so it wouldn't spill over the top of my septic field here. 1 year before I did this, before I dug the ditch, water was just puddled over the septic field, which is not the greatest thing. And worse than that, I don't want it running down and digging up a portion of the pipes either, like it started to do here on the hillside. So we'll start cleaning out some of this ditch next. Here is my ditch digging for today. It was mostly filled up with moss that grew. This type of moss here. It's growing everywhere. I keep putting lime down over the septic field, and because it's shady here, it doesn't get enough sun, and moss likes to grow. So cleared that out, and there was some dirt from runoff as well. So that's cleared out, so I don't have to worry in the spring now. The water will run off into the woods there and not over my septic field. That was the first failure to feed that I've had with this Ruger, with maybe 400 rounds through it. Well, let's see how I did. I think I fired 19 rounds because there was a misfire and I ejected one. And that looks like 19. No, 18. Looks like 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19? I did pretty good. I got most of them on the paper. Just wanted to show any computer geeks out there my laptop for the cabin. This belonged to my daughter when she went to college, and at one point it got dropped or otherwise damaged, and it's cracked along here. So basically the screen won't stay in one place, keeps flopping around. So what I did is I built a little stand for it, and in back I took 2 blocks of wood and cut them at an angle that I want the screen. Screw those together, and I screw this piece on here to basically capture the laptop so it doesn't move back or forth. So yeah, this was a Windows machine, and I loaded Linux on it, and now the thing screams even though it's an older computer. So this will be fine for up here. I do not have internet up here unless I want to use my phone as a hotspot. This is basically up here to read files that I brought with me or to do some work, and then I'll transfer the documents onto a USB stick and bring them home. So this is a nice addition. And then yeah, also I can play movies on this. And I forgot to mention, I got a power brick for this, which runs directly off of 12 volts. So I just have it plugged into a 12 volt outlet there. And I don't need to run an inverter or anything. Time has come to pump out the water tanks in the cellar under that tarp there. That's my bilge pump that I use, and I had disconnected it earlier to use this cable for something else, so I have to hook the ends of the pump back to the cable. Now, luckily I was smart enough to mark the wires as red and black for positive and negative, so let's do that. This is how this works. I have power coming in through that window from a battery, which I'll show you in a minute. And the pump is inside the tank, and the potable water hose is connected to the pump and leads outside. And what I found is I have to raise the hose up, tie it up, because if the water goes down and then comes up again, it's harder for the pump to move it. So I also had to prime this today. Today was not one of the easier days of draining the tank. Let's put it that way. There's a pump down in the tank, pumping away. And I think it's going to take about 2 hours to drain these tanks. So I've got 2 tanks here, this one and one on the other side. And they each have about 60 gallons of water in them. So yeah, I think it's going to take about 2 hours. But at least we're pumping, that's a good thing. Got to do this every year when I close up for the winter. Get the water out of these tanks. Here's our battery hooked up, powering the water pump, the bilge pump. We've got a nice full of water coming out of there. So we'll check back on it in about an hour. So the last step is to drain the lines, which just consists of disconnecting that line on the right, and I get smart. Now I empty it in a bucket so there's less water. But it's a mess. It's a mess down here anyway. Then I undo this line, which will open up the rest of the water from the tanks. That's where it gets messy. But I don't know what this water is here right now. Almost looks like it's coming from the pump. I mean, I could have had the hose over here and dribbled some water from the hose on it. So that's something for next spring to look at. I have a backup pump in case I need it. Oh, and then the other thing is I have to take the strainer out, which is underneath right there, because water obviously collects in that. So we don't want the glass or plastic on the strainer to break. So this is where the mess occurs. The rest of the water in the tank will come out. But it's okay because it drains. There's a drain line in the corner there. So it'll just drain over there. I can catch in this bucket, but that's an idea. I'm glad I'm not standing in a puddle of water near any electrical wires. So winterizing the toilet. Sorry about the lighting here. I use my trusty cup here to get as much water out of the tank as possible. And then once that's done, you can add the antifreeze. And then I will put antifreeze in the toilet bowl as well. Then for the kitchen sink, I'll put in just enough antifreeze to fill the trap where there's water down there. I'm sure that's more than enough. Pays not to be cheap though. Well, that is going to do it for this video, and it's going to do it for this season, 2023. So we got the cabin winterized, drained the tanks, did some raking, did a little shooting. All in all, a good trip that was only 3 days. Or 2.5 days. If you like the channel, please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up. And we will see you back at the cabin in 2024. Take care.